Bim, guess what? It's what a week that was. Because it's been a week of stuff that's happened. And we're going to discuss it, because that's what we do. It's very Boris heavy this week. I do apologise about that. But he has had a busy week, as old Boris chops. Where to begin with the Boris week? Initially, pardon me, he got banned from going to Russia. Not that I think he had any plans of going to Russia, but it wasn't just him. It was Liz Truss, it was Rishi Sunak, and loads of others as well. It turns out that Putin thinks that Boris is being, a bit nasty towards Russia, because we're kind of helping Ukraine, but without helping Ukraine. So anyway, Boris has been banned from Russia. So what does he do? Well, he basically goes to the House of Commons and tells people that he's sorry. Not because he's been banned from Russia, but because of Partygate and the fines he's got. To be fair, I think one of the reasons why he's been banned from Russia is because Putin does have some morals, not many, and thinks that Boris has, took the mickey by having these parties. So he's banned him for that reason. So at least he's taking the the fines seriously, which is good. It's about time that Putin did something proper. Other than that, he's a complete... anyway, that's moving on. We'll come back to Putin in a bit. So anyway, Boris comes and he apologises again and again and again. And no doubt he'll get more fines because he went to more parties, which weren't parties. And then he'll get more fines and fines and fines. So what did they do? Well, Labour actually do something. They decide that they're going to get an inquiry into what went on done by MPs. So this is more of an inquiry than the normal inquiries that you get. And what's going to happen is Boris is going to have to, and everyone else is going to have to answer questions or whatever. But you can't do anything until the police action is over, because there's police stuff going on as well. So it's fun and games, isn't it, for Boris? So he does what any grown-up would do. And he flies to India. 5,000 miles away, thereabouts, give or take. And he's doing trade deals. Now, weirdly, it was a JCB factory. Now, call me old-fashioned, but you don't have to go to India to go to a JCB factory. There's one just off one of the motorways near here. So he could have gone to that one near here. But anyway, he didn't. He chose to go to one in India. And to be fair, he dressed smarter than he normally dresses. So, it's been quite impressive. And the Indians like him. But they like everyone. I think they were cited at one point of not actually saying anything negative about what's going on with Putin. Something that is negative that's going on with Putin, though, is his health. That does not look like a well man. He's kind of slouched in the chair and kind of leaning a little bit, and he's got one hand up holding the table. And a few weeks ago, I didn't notice at the time, but a few weeks ago I did one of these things, and there was a picture of Putin sat at a table. Basically, why is that in front of me? It should be behind me. Basically, doing exactly the same thing. Holding on to the table. So, is this the reason why he's invading? Is it one of these things where he is trying to get something for his legacy? Is he seriously ill? Either way, it's dangerous, because if he thinks that he's not actually getting anywhere yet, and his time is running out, then he might resort to more desperate measures, because if there's something really seriously going on with him, there might be a thing where he does something stupid. I mean, more stupid. It's quite worrying. More so because when you are seriously ill, I would imagine that the last thing you'd do is worry about what is going on. Oh, I've just got rid of myself. Anyway, don't forget you can join in the chat. That's the whole point of this thing, is for you to chat. And then we can... why am I going behind it? I don't understand why I'm going behind it. Oh, hang on. Let's move up. Oh, there we go. There we go. Right. You won't notice anything, but I can do that now. And point at him. There we go. So, Boris is in India while he's avoiding what is going on in the UK. But meanwhile, there's a lot of stuff going on in Russia that we really need to pay attention to. Now, when Putin was at this table thing, he said to his... I didn't know who it was, but it's one of his bigwigs in the military. In a suit, though. And he said to him... well, translated, I don't speak Russian, basically that we have to, rather than going into the Mariupol steel factory, ironworks, where it is, where the troops are hiding, the Ukraine troops, and going in all the tunnels and everything, we're just going to starve them, so not even a fly can get out. Now, I'm pretty sure, no matter how good you are, unless you put a big dome on something, a fly is going to get out. So he's already failed on that one. So it's just like one disaster after the other, isn't it, for him? Goes from one flip to another flop. So yeah, very, very upsetting that he's possibly unwell, and it's going to make things a lot worse for everyone. And it is a real concern. It just looks so unwell. I mean, there was a joke back in the day when I was a kid of Brezhnev, who was the president at the time, and basically the joke was he died 10 years ago, but no one's dared tell him. And I think we're getting the same kind of stage now with Putin. I think he's getting to the stage now where it's quite scary that Putin looks quite seriously ill, and he's engaged in a major conflict with Ukraine. It's just horrendous. Vladimir Putin, the guy in the picture. It gets worse for the Russians, because if you're a Russian or Belarus tennis player, you're no longer allowed to play at Wimbledon. Apparently, they've been able to play in other parts of the world in tournaments, but Wimbledon have said, no, we're not having any Russians, we're not having any Belarus, because they're supporting Russia massively playing. And Djokovic, who you remember wanted to play in Australia and couldn't do because of his COVID injection status, can play in England at Wimbledon because we don't have any restrictions whatsoever now. It doesn't matter whether you're injected, not injected, how many times you've been injected, whatever. You can do whatever you want in Britain at the moment. So he'll be coming over, but he's actually said that he thinks it's wrong that the Russian players have been excluded from Wimbledon, which is ironic considering he got excluded from playing at the Melbourne tournament a few weeks ago. There's a few arguments going on as well in the world. We've got two candidates left in the French elections for the president. We've got Macron and Le Pen. Le Pen on the left and Macron on the right. Neither of them are any good. It's a bit like what we had with our last general election. You either had Corbyn or Boris, and neither of them were great. We just kind of chose the worst one, and thankfully we did choose Boris. Could you imagine if Corbyn would be in charge at the moment? Crikey, we'd be sending weapons to Russia. Anyway, basically similar kind of thing going on there in France. They had a debate. I don't understand the sign behind Le Pen's leg, because it's got 2201 Le Debate, but it's 2021 is 2021. That is 2201. And even if there's a number behind her, what number would that be? Would that be another 2? So it'd be 2012. So I know the French do things backwards, because they always say, we say a sentence and then translate it directly by Google, it comes out, it sounds like it's a bit backwards, but it makes sense to them, but to us it doesn't, and vice versa. It doesn't work the other way. But either way, it could be interesting if Le Pen gets in, because there could be a Frexit. She's not a big fan of Europe. So, you heard it here first. I'm expecting Frexit to occur, which is what I've been saying all along. The big countries, the problem with the European Union was the fact that when it first started, when we joined it, there was like 8 countries, and we all had similar outlooks. We had similar economies, we had similar religions, we had Conservatives and Labour and all that kind of stuff. We were very similar, and manufacturing was similar, housing and everything was very similar, and all that kind of stuff. And I said, and I've said many times, it's like a gated community, where, you know, we all look after each other, we all, you know, share food stuff, no tariffs, no nothing, all that kind of stuff, brilliant. But then we invite other people in. So we've got this gated community, but we open up the wall and we let the council estate people in as well, which is like your Poland and your Hungary and countries like that. But then we get some travellers come in, and they set up camp, and we let them in as well, which is Greece. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing is unbalanced, massively unbalanced, and that's why we left. In my opinion, that's why I voted to leave anyway, because we were paying for stuff that are not getting the money back that we were paying, because the countries we were giving the money to couldn't afford to pay us, and it was like just chucking good money after bad. So, you know, Brexit happened. The thing is, though, Italy, France and Germany have all got the equivalent of Nigel Farage. Now, I'm not saying that Le Pen is Nigel Farage in a trouser suit, but there are some similarities. So don't be surprised if she gets in. I mean, be surprised if she gets in, but don't be surprised if she gets in that Frexit comes along at some point. We might even have a Jexit as well, because things are changing in Germany. So that could be interesting. But it's not the only disagreement that's going on at the moment. We've also got Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Now, if you remember a year ago, thereabouts, there was a libel case against Johnny Depp, Angela, from Amber, saying that he was a bully, a wife beater, and various other bits and pieces as well. And newspaper published this, and there was a big hurrah and furore about it. And then eventually he got cleared of it. But now, in America, he's countersuing her, saying that she did the same to him, and that she's an abuser. 6 of one, half dozen the other, maybe? I don't know. It's only they know what really happened. But why is it news? What we should do is concentrate on the stuff that's important. Let these people sort their private life out privately, and then if there's a result, tell us the result. But we don't need to go blow by blow every day on the news. Seeing her just stare at him. It's a very Fatal Attraction look there that she's got, isn't it? And Johnny Depp just looks like a haggard bloke now. But having said that, he's had a lot of alcohol and drug abuse in the last few years. So, but no, it's not news. It's a private matter. I wouldn't want my private matters being discussed on the news. Not that it would be, but you know, it just seems, I don't know, it seems a bit bonkers. Hi, Paul. The Queen celebrated her 96th birthday yesterday. 96 years young. Quite sprightly, really, for a 96-year-old. My mother's 86 and is considerably not as sprightly. Mind you, she hasn't as much private health spent on her healthcare than the Queen has. But the Queen's still working. She still does lots of stuff. I'm sorry I was late. I saw the reminder but was busted for the toilet. That's fair play. I was a bit late anyway, which I kind of predicted. But there's an image there of the Queen when she was 2. And at the time, no one knew she was going to be queen, which I didn't know. I thought she was always lined up to be the queen. And then there's a picture of her aged 96 with 2 massive horses, which seems a little bit dangerous. It's like, I know what we'll do. We'll stand the very frail 96-year-old queen next to 2 fairly substantial horses. Because what could possibly go wrong? I bet Charles organised this. But we don't have to worry, because she's got a protector. And that protector is Harry. The world's gone mad. Harry, who's no longer the ultimate black sheep of the family. That's been replaced by, obviously, Andrew. But he's certainly not number 1. Hi, Ursa Major. Andrew is my favourite role. Okay. Harry was my favourite royal because basically he just enjoyed himself, and then he went to war, did some proper fighting and all that kind of stuff. Which, to be fair, we're talking about Andrew. Andrew did as well. He was in the Falklands War when I think Sir Galahad got hit. He was flying a helicopter rescuing people over the burning ship and all that kind of stuff. He was a bit of a war hero. But we've discussed Andrew many times. Now, Harry is currently doing the Invictus Games, which I think is finished today. And he had an interview, and basically he said that on the way over to Holland, where the Invictus Games are, which is for injured military or ex-military members from all over the world, including Ukraine. They've got a team there as well, who, when it finishes, which I think is today, will fly back to Ukraine and then go back on the front line again, despite their various disabilities, which just shows you don't want to mess with the East Europeans. Even if you are East European, they are a different breed. You watch our footballers, they get a little tap and they're rolling over on the floor in agony for about a week. Anyway, I digress. And Harry said that he'd been to see the Queen, and she was in fine fettle, and they get on really well, and they always have done, to be fair. And he was going to make sure that she was surrounded by the right people. Now, by the right people, what does he mean? Because she's surrounded by people who've been around her forever. What does he know that we don't know? Apart from whoever, maybe, put her in between them 2 massive horses. I mean, you don't know. There could have been someone hiding in a bush with one of them guns that you fire off that make a big bang when you start a race. And, God, that would have been horrendous. Anyway, the good news is nothing happened, and the Queen was fine. The only 2 roles I like are Kate and William. Yeah, Kate and William are okay. I'm not a big royalist, but I think they do good for the country because they do get people to come to the country and visit and look at them, basically. Talking of coming to the country, we have got Eric Gen Haag, who is the Ajax, spelled Ajax, manager at the moment, and he's coming over to sort out Manchester United. He's basically going to turn them around. I mean, don't get me wrong, Manchester United are not the worst team in the Premier League, but by their standards, they are Eggman. Oh dear, Paul. Eric Ten Hag, that'll do. They are certainly not where they normally are, but you generally find this with teams. I mean, Liverpool, a few years ago weren't where they are, and if we all, 20 years ago, whatever, Manchester City dropped down 2 divisions. And then come back up again. Jim Carrey was great in Sonic 2. I don't like Jim Carrey, full stop, in anything apart from Dumb and Dumber. And I've not seen, obviously, the Sonic movies. To be fair, though, that guy does look like someone you wouldn't want to mess with. There was a guy interviewed on the news, and one of his first managing jobs he had was for, obviously, a smaller team. And the guy said that when you have drinks at half-time, instead of just chucking them on the table randomly, he had them put them out perfectly in straight lines and whatever, because that made things work better for the team. He wanted everyone in the team to be professional, and I don't get that. I don't understand why drinks lined up is professional, but either way, it's worked for him. He certainly worked with Ajax, He's got them into trophy-winning ways. Be interesting to see what happens afterwards. Talking of football, but a completely different club and a completely bizarre story. Chelsea Football Club, as we all know, is up for sale. Because they're knocking it down, Callum, to build flats and everything, so we all got served with eviction notices, which is why all the shops in the galleries are gone, apart from the market. I'm currently looking for a new shop, and we'll let everyone know on here when I know what's going on myself. Back to what's going on here. Chelsea Football Club, Abramovich is having to sell it because he can't own it anymore, and two people who are looking at working together as part of a consortium to buy it, £10 million each. It's Serena Williams. No, it's not Serena Williams. It's Serena Williams, isn't it? Yeah. And my favourite racing driver of all time, not Lewis Hamilton, who apparently has a tattoo of the Arsenal badge on his body. So how's that going to work? If he's got an Arsenal tattoo and he owns part of Chelsea Football Club. I don't know. There must be a money-making thing in it, though, for him. Because I can't imagine him doing it out of the goodness of his heart. But might give him something to concentrate on while they sort his car out. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton, my favourite racing driver of all time. Not. And Serena Williams, or the other Williams, one of the Williams anyway, are looking at being shareholders, massive shareholders in Chelsea Football Club. You couldn't write it, could you? Then you've got possibly one of the most dangerous things in the world, which is the Hadron Kaleidoscope thing. I mean, basically, they're trying to recreate what's going on the sun, on Earth, and they're trying to split atoms and blow atoms up and make things. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? They got away with it so far, but they spent the last 3 years making it bigger, faster, and, in my opinion, more dangerous. There are things that you just shouldn't do. In my opinion, if you want to do stuff like that, do it on the moon. Do not do it on Earth. They even created a black hole, I'm sure they did. Hadron Super Collider. No, this is in Sweden. Not Sweden, Switzerland, on the border of Germany and Switzerland, I think it is. It's that big it actually goes over the borders. It's a European thing. And yeah, they're on about trying to create dark matter, which they've never been able to create before. So what possibly could go wrong, apart from the entire Earth and the entire universe just goes into a black hole that they've created? Mind you, it solves a lot of problems. And I suppose the other thing is, would we know? Because we've never been in a black hole. We might already be in one. So, yeah, it's a huge structure. It's 27 miles in diameter. So it's, if you think of the M60 motorway that goes around Manchester, that is, I think, because I did it for a video. I drove it clockwise and anti-clockwise, and I think it's about 33 miles, and this is round about 27 miles, so it's 6 miles shorter. So you could shrink it down by 6 miles, and that would be the size of the this collider, and it just spins things round and round and round and round and round and round as fast as it can, and then it fires them into each other, and it causes this explosion, and then they look at the results and say, oh, we've just blown up half of Sweden. Yes, it is real. It's massive. It's on the news. If you watch the news tonight, you'll see it. BBC News. And it's been turned off for 3 years because they've been making it stronger, better, and more scary. And I'm like, you shouldn't do stuff like this on Earth. Do it on Mars. Do it somewhere else. Just don't do it on Earth. In fact, you're probably better doing it on Mars or doing it on the moon because there's less gravity. So you wouldn't need as big a machine to actually get the thing going. I mean, the other side of the coin is it might actually work and create power, like forever, for everyone. But it's more likely to destroy things than it is to help things along. So yeah, very, very scary indeed. And an interesting development on a really old story. Do it on Pluto, it's closer. Yeah, smaller as well. They could go right around Pluto, couldn't they? A bit of a sad story, this. All kicked off just over 15 years ago when Madeleine McCann went missing. Now, you have to be careful what you say, but there was a lot of speculation at the time, which has since been disproved, about what happened. Now, the weird thing is, and I never knew this, in Portugal, serious crimes, you cannot accuse someone of a serious crime like murder, rape, armed robbery, that kind of thing, things that you get a life sentence for. You cannot charge people with it after 15 years. So if you manage to get away with it for 15 years, you can walk down the street telling people what you've done in Portugal, which makes no sense. So anyway, it was the beginning of May when sadly Maddie disappeared from a hotel bedroom while her mum and dad were out, and they have not charged someone, they've done a guy in Germany who was in Portugal at the time where the hotel was, and is a convicted rapist and generally a very unpleasant guy. They've now made him a person of interest, which means they can now continue the case because they've got someone as a prime suspect. Now, Maddie's mum and dad were a prime suspect at one stage, but now this guy is a prime suspect. He's currently in a prison in Germany, convicted rapist, and he's had other questions asked about him, and it does seem like it is a possibility. But it's just weird that practically a week from 15 years of this happening, they finally decide to do something with this guy who has been on the radar for many years. So it's all a bit weird and a bit peculiar. I just hope that we can all find peace for Maddie, because it was a horrendous case at the time, and stuff that was said was more than libelous even, to various different parties and bodies and whatnot. And like I say, you just got to be very, very careful what you say about it. But hopefully, there is some truth in what they're currently saying, and hopefully, they may actually get somewhere and actually be able to close the case properly. And after a long 15 years for the entire family, not just the close family, but all the aunties, uncles, nephews, nieces, all that kind of thing. 15 years is a long while to get no answers. So hopefully that is coming to an end. Talking of which, this broadcast I normally do for half an hour, and we are currently on... Oops, wrong one. We're currently on 28 minutes. So let's have a recap, shall we? Because I think we've covered everything. I didn't think I had everything today, because my little book thing wasn't as full as it normally is. That was last week. And this week's a bit emptier. But Boris just makes it easy, doesn't he? He 10 minutes. 10 minutes on Boris. So yeah, quick recap then. So hopefully there is end in sight in the Madeleine McCann case. There may be the end in sight for the rest of the world if the scientists mess up with the Hadron kaleidoscope thing, or whatever it is. Hadron Super Collider, that's the one. Talking of colliding, three worlds collide. Chelsea, Lewis Hamilton, one of the Williams sisters. Bear in mind, Lewis Hamilton wants to become a shareholder, allegedly, in Chelsea, but he has a tattoo of Arsenal. So yeah, that would go down well, wouldn't it? New manager coming in for Manchester United in the summer. See how well they do. Prince Harry has said he is a protector of the Queen, and he's going to make sure that she's got the right people around her, even though he lives in America, and he's going back to America. But he didn't stop this picture of her 96th birthday, where she's stuck between two massive horses. Okay, they're not massive, she's tiny, but they are massive compared to her. A bit like the arguments and discussions that are currently going on between Johnny Depp and his ex, whom both are accusing of manipulation, bullying, abuse, etc. And it's just going on and on and on. And I think it's a private matter. I couldn't care less. I do care about the presidential election, though. Thoughts on the Queen Barbie doll? They're making a Queen Barbie doll. It's going to be like 3 inches high. I suppose she's earned the right, living to 96, being on the throne for 70 years. I mean, I can't think of we can't knight her, we can't make her a dame or anything. So yeah, make her a Barbie doll, make her into a Barbie doll. What they could have done is they could have done, again, if you're of a certain age, you'll remember the Queen Mother, also called Elizabeth, and she used to drive around when she was over 100 in a golf buggy everywhere. She'd just get in a golf buggy and drive around. She was on the news driving around. She'd go and look at the troops and everything on this golf buggy. So that would be an accessory. You could have the Queen Mother, and the golf buggy, and then a walking stick, obviously. I don't believe the guy in question is suspect. No, but we have to be careful what we say. Debate in France and the election. It's going to be interesting. We're not going to know the result until not what a week that was next week, but what week that was the week after. And it'll be interesting to see whether Macron has actually maintained his position. Tennis stars are being excluded from the Wimbledon Championship this year if they are from Russia or Belarus. Personally, I think if you're going to do that, you might as well do them if they're from countries that sympathise. So China, definitely China, and what was the other one? Pakistan, and countries like that. They should all get banned as well. Got to treat everyone the same. Putin, worryingly, is looking very, very unwell and quite frail. Now, he might have COVID, which would explain a bit, and he might get better again, but it is worrying, considering his state of mind and what he's currently doing, that if he has not got long left, and he knows he's not got long left, and he wants to do a legacy, so he has statues of himself all over Russia, so people remember him forever, then he could do something even more stupid than he's already done, and that is terrifying. I mean, he will be remembered forever, but that's only for being a war criminal. But obviously you can't see that. Talking of war criminal, although to be fair, this is a different Labour leader, so not a war criminal at all. Sir Keir Starmer and various other MPs have voted on and decided that there is going to be an MP inquiry into the Partygate and whether or not Boris deliberately lied in Parliament numerous times, saying there was no parties, I was not there, and then gets a fine and has to pay it, and then apologises profusely. Not only does he apologise profusely, but he then flies to India for trade talks with India, which seem to be going quite well, to be fair, and he will not be going to Russia. Neither will Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak or many other members of the cabinet, because they've all been excluded by Putin because they're not being fair to Russia, which seems reasonable. But I don't think it was on Boris's list of where he wanted to go. This won't work because it's green. See? But I've got my election leaflet. It's not green all the way though. There's some Slurple the Purple as well. So I'm now currently dishing these out to various different people, i.e. posting them through letterboxes and things like that. So there's a lot going on for me as well at the moment. But the good news is that I got them and I can get them all out, and I've got people to help me on Sunday and Monday. So fingers crossed the election goes well for me. Anyway, that's enough of this. So a huge thank you to Angela O'Kane, Ursa Major, Paul, Kieran, Callum, I think that's it. Yep, that's it. So thank you very much for watching. Yeah, no Toff tonight. I don't know where he was. Hopefully he's okay. And we will see you all again next time, in a week's time, for, well, we'll look back on the upcoming week and see what a week that was. Until then, thanks for watching. Bye!